Are you looking to get motivated to do some work in the garden? Well, come along and get the chores done with me. I've got a lot to do today, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to True Freedom Permaculture, where I show you all the tips and tricks you need to have a green thumb, even if you are bored with one. The first thing I need to do today is prune my blackberry bushes. It looks like I really need to remove last year's floricanes because they're no longer going to be producing fruit, and I also need to cut back some of these lateral branches because they've just gotten way too long. They gave us a lot of fruit last year, a lot more than I was expecting, so I really want to make sure that I take good care of them in their off season. I need to come in here and clean this patch up. I wore long sleeves and gloves for this because I grow a thorned variety of blackberry, and it was also warmer. I know they have thornless varieties, but I prefer the thorns because they're somewhat of a deterrent for smaller pests. It doesn't seem to stop the deer though. So today we are in the middle of spring, but it is about 30 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so it is not exactly leap for joy I'm outside inducing weather. But what's that saying? There's no such thing as bad weather, but bad clothes? I think that's a Scandinavian saying. It would be a Scandinavian saying. Remember the before? That's looking a lot better. Since I'm already in this patch, I can see my ground cover patch of strawberries already coming back, and I've decided to plant some spinach in this bed as a complement to the berries. First, I'm just working the area with my garden fork to aerate the soil a little bit and allow for room for the roots to grow. Spinach has a deep root that doesn't compete with the strawberries, so they work very well together. It's a fantastic spring crop that can be sown while the weather is still cool. Currently, I'm about 8 weeks away from my last frost date, so I'm going to start my tomatoes and eggplants this week. I am using an old egg carton for this. I really like getting a second use out of plastic containers whenever I can. And recently I did a video on this topic specifically, so if you'd like some more ideas on other plastic containers you can use for planting and how I prepare my plastic containers ahead of time, then you can watch this video. I have a container of basil which self-seeded, so I have a bunch of little basil seedlings coming up. It's a good problem to have, and I have a few friends wanting to start growing some things this year, so I'm going to separate the seedlings and plant them into their own individual containers. I'm lucky that my friends like to recycle too, so I don't think they'll mind that I'm using these old food containers to do this. I am done with this, and now my basil seedlings are ready to give away. My sage plant has some woody stems that I'd really like to clear out to improve the air circulation. And that way, these woody stems also don't obstruct the other leaves from getting sunlight. I like having one sage plant because currently I don't use lots of sage in my cooking, but it's really nice to have on hand because I do use it occasionally, more so in the fall and winter. Now for me, pruning is always kind of a painful process because it's hard for me to remove growth because I'm like, look, it's doing so well, it's getting so big, but I know that in the end it is worth it. And even though now the plant doesn't look as full as it did before, it's all gonna come back, and it's all gonna come back healthier, larger, and stronger. And those sage leaves that I had to trim are not gonna go to waste. I'm gonna make a roast chicken this week, so it's gonna go in that. Now I'm going to trim my onion seedlings, and I made a video on this as well if you'd like to learn why I do this. I can't believe how fast and vigorously they're growing, and honestly I find I have to trim them at least once, sometimes even twice per week. On to the scallion seedlings. My final chore today is the simplest one. I am going to get some sunflower seeds soaking so I can start my first batch of sunflower sprouts. I love growing these during the spring. It's just so nice after a long winter of like root vegetables and more canned foods to have something just so fresh to liven up any dish that you put them on. So my treat after some hard work was a matcha latte and a good book.